There's something deeply unsettling about a person who never breaks. You've met them. Maybe you work with one. Maybe you're related to one. They're the person who sits in silence while everyone else is losing their minds. They're the one who speaks in measured tones when chaos erupts. They never raise their voice. They never seem rattled. And if you're honest with yourself, they make you incredibly uncomfortable. Because somewhere deep in your survival instincts, you sense something that most people refuse to acknowledge out loud. The calmest people in the room are often the most dangerous people in the room. And today, we're going to explore why that is, what psychology reveals about this paradox, and what it means if you happen to be one of these people yourself. Before we go any further, if you're the kind of person who craves truth over comfort, who wants to understand the hidden mechanics of human behavior instead of surface-level explanations, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because this channel exists for people who are done with shallow content and ready for something that actually matters. Let's begin. Here's what most people get wrong about calmness. They think it's a personality trait. They think some people are just born serene, naturally peaceful, inherently unbothered. That's not how it works. Calmness, real calmness, the kind that makes people step back and reassess you, is not a temperament. It's a strategy. It's a form of power. And like all forms of power, it can be used to protect or to dominate, to create safety or to establish control. The difference between a genuinely calm person and a dangerous one often comes down to intent. But here's the problem. From the outside, you can't always tell which one you're dealing with until it's too late. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're in a meeting. Someone just made a serious accusation. Voices are rising. People are defensive. Emotions are flooding the room. And then there's one person, silent, still, watching. They don't interrupt. They don't defend themselves. They don't react at all. At first, you might think they're weak. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they don't know what to say. But then they speak. One sentence, calm, precise, devastating. They dismantle the entire argument with surgical accuracy. No anger, no emotion, just truth delivered like a scalpel. And suddenly, everyone realizes this person wasn't silent because they were powerless. They were silent because they were in complete control. That's the paradox. The absence of reaction isn't weakness, it's dominance. Psychology has studied this phenomenon for decades, and what researchers have found is both fascinating and terrifying. Emotional regulation, the ability to remain calm under pressure, is one of the strongest predictors of strategic thinking, long-term planning, and yes, manipulative capability. People who can control their emotional output have a distinct advantage over people who cannot. They see more clearly. They think more strategically. They make fewer mistakes. And crucially, they make everyone else feel transparent. When you react emotionally, you reveal yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your triggers. But when someone remains calm while you're spiraling, they're gathering information. They're learning exactly how to move you. This is why calmness unnerves us. On a primal level, we're wired to read emotional signals. Anger tells us someone might attack. Fear tells us there's danger nearby. Joy tells us it's safe to relax. But calmness tells us nothing. It's a blank screen. And in the absence of information, our brains fill in the gaps with the worst-case scenario. We start to wonder, what are they thinking? What are they planning? Why aren't they reacting like a normal person? And that uncertainty, that gap between what we can see and what we can understand, is exactly where fear lives. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Not all calm people are dangerous, but all dangerous people learn to be calm. Think about it. Every con artist, every master manipulator, every person who has successfully deceived others on a large scale. What do they have in common? Control. They don't let their masks slip. They don't react impulsively. They've trained themselves to remain composed even when the pressure is enormous, because they know the moment they break, the game is over. This is why intelligence agencies spend so much time teaching operatives to control their emotional responses. This is why poker players train for years to maintain a neutral expression. This is why hostage negotiators are selected based on their ability to stay calm in life or death situations. Calmness isn't just a nice quality, it's a tactical advantage. But let's be clear about something crucial here. The ability to remain calm doesn't make someone evil, it makes them powerful. And power is neutral. It's what you do with it that defines you. A surgeon needs to be calm while cutting into a human body. A therapist needs to be calm while someone shares their deepest trauma. A leader needs to be calm when everyone else is panicking. In these contexts, calmness is a gift. It creates safety. It inspires confidence. It saves lives. The danger isn't in the calmness itself. The danger is in the intentions behind it. So how do you tell the difference? How do you know if the calm person in your life is someone who's genuinely centered or someone who's carefully calculating? Here's what psychology tells us. Healthy calmness comes with warmth. It might be subtle, it might be quiet, but it's there. You can feel it. There's an openness, a willingness to connect. Even in their stillness, there's humanity. Dangerous calmness is different. It's cold. There's a distance that never closes, a barrier that never drops. You might spend years with this person and still feel like you don't really know them, because you don't. They've made sure of it. Think about the people in your life right now. The ones who never seem to lose their cool. Ask yourself this question. When they're calm, do you feel more relaxed? Or do you feel more on edge? Do you feel seen? Or do you feel studied? Do you feel like they're present with you? Or like they're always 3 steps ahead of you? Your nervous system knows the difference even if your conscious mind doesn't. Trust that instinct. Here's something else that makes chronically calm people dangerous, and this is the part that nobody talks about. They have more energy than you. Think about how much energy it takes to be angry, to be anxious, to be reactive. Every outburst is a leak in your battery. Every emotional spiral drains your resources. But calm people aren't leaking. They're conserving, storing, accumulating power while everyone else is exhausting themselves. By the time you've burned through your emotional reserves, they're still operating at full capacity. This is why they win long games. This is why they outlast everyone else. Not because they're stronger, because they're more efficient. And here's the really uncomfortable truth. If you're someone who prides yourself on being passionate, on being expressive, on wearing your heart on your sleeve, you're at a massive disadvantage when dealing with someone who is strategically calm. Because while you're showing all your cards, they're showing none. While you're making decisions based on how you feel in the moment, they're making decisions based on what serves them in the long run. This doesn't mean you need to become cold. It doesn't mean you need to shut down your emotions. But it does mean you need to be aware of the power dynamic that's in play. Let me share something personal here. Early in my life, I was the reactive one. Someone would push my buttons, and I'd explode. Someone would criticize me, and I'd defend myself immediately. I thought I was being authentic. I thought I was being strong. But what I didn't realize was that I was being controlled. Every time I reacted, I was handing over power. I was letting other people dictate my emotional state. And there were people in my life, calm people, who recognized this, who learned exactly what to say to make me react, who used my own emotions as a weapon against me. It wasn't until I learned to be still, to pause before responding, to choose my reactions instead of being hijacked by them, that I understood. Calmness isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about sovereignty. It's about refusing to let anyone else control your inner state. If you're watching this and you're starting to feel uncomfortable, good. That means you're paying attention. Hit that like button if this is making you think differently about people in your life. And stay with me, because we're about to go even deeper. Here's a question that's going to challenge you. What if you're the dangerous calm person? What if people find you unsettling? What if they've told you that you're hard to read, that they never know what you're thinking, that you make them nervous? How do you know if your calmness is a strength or a weapon you're reusing without realizing it? The answer lies in your intentions. Ask yourself, when you remain calm in heated situations, is it because you're genuinely centered, or because you enjoy watching other people lose control? When you choose not to react, is it because you're responding from wisdom, or because you're withholding to maintain power? When people can't read you, is it because you're private, or because you're hiding? These are not easy questions, but they're essential ones, because the truth is, calmness can be a spiritual practice or a manipulation tactic, and the only difference is what's happening inside you. Let's talk about what psychology calls the dark triad. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. All 3 of these personality traits share one common feature: emotional detachment, the ability to remain calm and calculating while others are emotional. Now, before you panic, let me be clear. Being calm doesn't mean you have a personality disorder, but understanding this connection is important, because it reveals something crucial about human nature. The same skill that allows a therapist to hold space for someone's pain without falling apart is the same skill that allows a con artist to lie without flinching. The same ability that lets a leader stay composed in a crisis is the same ability that lets a manipulator exploit without conscience. The tool is neutral. The heart behind it is everything. This is why discernment matters. This is why you can't just trust someone because they're calm. You have to look deeper. You have to ask, what happens when this person is behind closed doors? How do they treat people who have no power? What do they do when nobody's watching? Because true character isn't what you do when you're on stage. It's what you do when you think the curtain is closed. Here's another layer to this. Calm people are often trauma survivors. This is the part that breaks my heart, because when you understand that someone's calmness might be a defense mechanism built in childhood, when you realize that their stillness might be a survival strategy from a time when showing emotion was dangerous, suddenly the paradox becomes even more complex. Not every calm person is dangerous. Some are just deeply wounded. They learned early that it wasn't safe to react. That showing fear got them hurt. That expressing anger made things worse. So they shut down. They went still. And that stillness became their armor. If this is you, if you recognize yourself in these words, I want you to hear something. Your calmness was necessary once. It protected you. It helped you survive. But survival mode isn't the same as living. And if your calmness is keeping people at a distance, if it's making authentic connection impossible, then the armor that once saved you might now be suffocating you. While the world burns around them, you have a choice. You can fear them, or you can learn from them. You can project your stories onto them, or you can ask them the questions that matter. The calmest people are often the most dangerous, but they're also often the most powerful, the most centered, the most awake, and maybe, just maybe, the most needed in a world that's forgotten how to be still. The question is, which kind of calm person are you becoming? Doesn't mean you need to become reactive. It means you need to learn the difference between strategic calmness and defensive numbness. One is a choice, the other is a prison. Now, let's talk about the social dynamics of calmness, because here's what happens in groups. The calmest person often ends up with the most social power, whether they want it or not. Think about your friend group, your family, your workplace. Who do people turn to in a crisis? The calm one. Who do people trust with sensitive information? The calm one. Who do people assume is the most mature, the most reliable, the most together? The calm one. But here's the shadow side. That same person is also the one people are most likely to project onto, to misunderstand, to fear, because calmness creates a vacuum, and people fill vacuums with their own narratives. If you're that person, you've probably experienced this. People assume you don't have problems. They assume you don't need support. They assume you're fine, always fine, no matter what's happening. And slowly, you become isolated, not because you're pushing people away, but because they've decided you don't need them. This is the hidden cost of being the calm one. You become everyone's rock, and nobody thinks to ask who's holding you. And if you're not the calm one, if you're the emotional one in your relationships, I want you to understand something. The calm person in your life is not your enemy. They're not trying to make you feel unstable by comparison. They're not judging your reactions. Most of the time, they're just trying to create a sense of safety in the only way they know how. The problem is that your nervous systems are speaking different languages. Yours seeks connection through emotional expression. Theirs seeks safety through emotional regulation. Neither is wrong. But without understanding, you'll keep hurting each other. Let me give you some practical wisdom here. If you're dealing with a calm person who makes you uncomfortable, test them, not with games, not with manipulation, but with vulnerability. Share something real, something that matters, and watch how they respond. A healthy, calm person will meet your vulnerability with presence. They might not get emotional with you, but they'll be there. They'll listen, they'll care. A dangerous, calm person will use your vulnerability against you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, what you shared in confidence will become leverage. Pay attention, and if you're the calm person, here's your work. Practice revelation. You don't have to become an open book, but you do need to let people see you. Share your thoughts. Express your concerns. Let people know what you're feeling, even if your face doesn't show it. Because the alternative is that people will write their own stories about who you are, and those stories are rarely accurate. You can be calm and still be known. You can be controlled and still be connected. Here's the ultimate truth about this. paradox: calmness is power, and every form of power is dangerous if it's not paired with consciousness. The question isn't whether you should be calm. The question is, why are you calm? And what are you doing with that calmness? Are you using it to create peace or to maintain control? Are you using it to protect yourself or to dominate others? Are you using it as a tool for wisdom or as a weapon for warfare? The most dangerous people in any room are not the ones screaming. They're the ones watching, learning, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But the most powerful people in any room are also the ones who are calm, the ones who have mastered their inner world so completely that external chaos can't move them. The difference between these two types isn't always visible, but it's always felt. So let me ask you directly, are you running from calmness because you're afraid of your own power? Or are you hiding behind calmness because you're afraid of your own vulnerability? Both are traps. Real calmness, the kind that transforms you and everyone around you, comes from neither suppression nor strategy. It comes from integration. It comes from facing everything inside you, the rage and the fear and the grief and the shame, and choosing peace anyway. Not because you're weak, not because you're manipulating, but because you've done the work to know yourself so deeply that nothing outside can destabilize what's inside. This is the calmness worth cultivating. The calmness that doesn't make people afraid, it makes them feel safe. The calmness that doesn't isolate you, it attracts genuine connection. The calmness that doesn't come from shutting down, it comes from waking up. If this video has shifted something in you, if you're seeing yourself or someone in your life differently now, then do me a favor, leave a comment below. Tell me, are you the calm one in your relationships, or are you the emotional one? And more importantly, how has that dynamic shaped your life? I read every single comment, and your insights matter. This community exists because we're all willing to look at the uncomfortable truths together. And if you want to go deeper, if you want more content that challenges you to see beyond the surface, to understand the psychology that actually governs human behavior, then subscribe to this channel right now, because we're just getting started. Next, we're going to explore the hidden psychology of people who are too nice, and why that's often a red flag nobody wants to acknowledge. You won't want to miss it. Remember this, calmness is not the absence of feeling, it's the presence of choice. And the most dangerous thing you can do is assume you know what's happening inside a calm person's mind. You don't, none of us do. But what you can know is this: the next time you encounter someone who never breaks, who never reacts, who stays still,